us know when you're ready.
When's your recording? We don't
This
mind.
one's going.
Okay.
That one's going.
Okay, we're on YouTube.
Okay, we're gonna open a public hearing for a liquor license renewal for the Home Port Inn. And we are now in a public hearing. Does anyone from the audience have any input on the renewal of the liquor license for the Home Port? How about the board?
I'm aware of.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any questions, but when it's the supplemental application on-premise diagram, usually shows there, if there's
Way up.
bricks or anything, is there a fire escape that's on this building that's not shown?
There's one on the side of the building.
Okay.
Yes,
No, that would be
All
a fire question.
All right.
but there is a fire.
I'm not aware of any issues with this operation of this place, so.
Does anyone on the board have any
I mean, last year,
comments?
I believe, when they came in, they were not opening the restaurant portion. They were just wanted to provide things to their, the people staying there.
Yes.
So is that the case this year?
Yes, remember they changed to just wine. They dropped the other beverages.
Right.
And again, this application is just wine
Just
and it
wine.
says bed and breakfast, not a restaurant.
For hotels, golf clubs.
It's
pool
strictly
halls, breakfast.
vinous, however you say, vinous.
Class D.
If no one has any questions, comments, then we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in
That
favor?
one For the public, but I guess we don't have public right now. Except for listener.
All right, we'll open the regular selectmen meeting. And I would entertain a motion for a vote on the approval.
Make a motion, we approve the liquor license to Home Port Inn.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. I somehow have two pens, is someone missing?
I got one.
No, we were missing
We've
10.
got 4
Oh,
copies.
It's
okay.
extra.
All right.
You're gonna write a lot tonight.
Oh.
Put it right on
Blind all the way through it.
Hmm?
Sign.
Oh, I was just looking for it. I found it.
No, sir. Okay. May I have a motion to sign warrants?
Make a motion that we sign the warrant.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Start those coming out here. As the warrants are going around, we have 2 minutes, one of February 28th and a special meeting of March 8th. Could I get a motion for approval?
Follow mine.
Right here, so you-
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for February 28th and March 8th of 2013.
Okay. A second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. Justin, are you? Sorry. Okay, Mr. Clark, you are on.
Good evening,
Good evening.
ladies and gentlemen of the board.
You were here what capacity again?
I'm here as code
Code
enforcement
enforcement.
officer.
Make sure you get the right hat for you.
Okay, all right. We've got a couple items tonight to discuss with you. One is a carryover from our last meeting, concerns the Dodge building. And I've gone down there and taken another good hard look and walk around of it. And what I've discovered is there's about 15 feet up underneath the north side there, adjacent to the Atlantic House.
For clarification, can you tell the public where exactly you're talking about?
Oh, that building is at map 15, lot 24,
Across from the library.
across from the library, downtown. It's locally known as the building where the derelict boats tie up every now and then. But I think that problem's been solved. However, getting back to this building, we talked about it last meeting, and so I went up underneath there at low tide, all the way up to the street level, because most of that building is underwater at high tide, or over water.
Right.
Got up there and looked up, and it looks like, the siding blew off. I don't know how they got the siding on there but it appears like siding blew off, but actually siding didn't blow off. Siding fell off because of the rotten wood that's been soaked up in there. That wall is a bearing wall. That's a three-story building with 2x4 bearing wall on the first floor.
That's the one the wall adjacent to the other
To
property.
the Atlantic House, yeah. So I reached up in there and grabbed a hold of one of the 2x4s and was able to remove a small chunk of it with my hand. It's it's a very pithy structure that way. The supporting 2x4s are done. Now I can't tell what the rest of them look like, but I got to imagine that the water that's coming down through there has worked its way behind that siding. Now that siding is just lath siding. There is no underlayment board siding on that wall. When you go to the inside of it, the inside wall is what you're looking at when you look in there, and that is plaster. So there is no board siding there. Anyway, I got into it, and I noticed other things in a little more detail. So I contacted Mr. Tooley, I think, of CES. He and I discussed it. And I said, what's it going to cost for you to come down and do an assessment of this? And he said, why bother? He said, at this point, you'd just be wasting the $1,500. It's obviously a dangerous building. So that's where I'm at. All right, the 2x4s up there are gone, and the seal plate is gone.
So we have to schedule a public hearing. Have you notified the owner?
Not yet. I'm getting ready to send a letter. I got the draft letter. It's gone from draft to final.
Okay.
And I'm ready to send this letter off to those folks, advising them that they've got a dangerous building on their hands, and that they need to contact me and begin the process of abating this hazard to the town and safety of the citizens and the adjoining property
Right.
with that.
So can you briefly outline what that procedure is?
I'll send them this letter, and the letter gives them until June 30th to take the problem. All right? And if and when they call me, or I might call them, it depends on what happens here, I'm going to recommend that they contact Mr. Tooley or some other competent structural engineer, and have a structural engineer come in there and give them an assessment as to whether the building is actually salvageable or savable or not. And that they accept that person's recommendation for abatement. And we will too. And in fact, if that person says, oh, this building's okay, then I guess, we'll have to live with that, but I don't think that's going to be the case. That's going to be my plan, to communicate to them, what I think they should do. They should actually take the time to assess whether it's a tear down or salvageable.
If it's rebuildable, then the person could have a big crew for a long time and generate a great deal of money.
Yes. Well, it's a historic building.
Yeah.
And the owners highly value that parcel of property, and as we all do, it's in a key spot, and it is a historical building, and I'm gonna encourage them to do everything they can
Yeah.
to bring it back to life. But
How's the underpinning of it, Jim?
the underpinnings appears to be okay.
Yeah.
Well, if that's okay.
The foundation of it, what
They
it
got something
sits
to build
on,
Yep.
they're good and dry and solid.
Giant,
So
yep,
the rot,
that's the main
it hasn't gotten,
into that.
gotten into that yet, but it's gonna make it there sooner or later.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they will, have the money and the time and the inclination, because it's, they've always said apparently, and this is secondhand info, that they don't wanna sell it. They've been offered many times apparently
Right.
to sell,
Right.
but they've not done that because they view it as a long-term investment for their retirement. So they're going, you just can't put off deferred maintenance
No.
on a
Forever.
building for 20 years
Right.
and just throw a couple of patches at it and expect things to be okay. It's the standard rule for buildings is if you have a building and its market value is $100,000. You have to spend 3% a year of the market value of a building to keep it at 98% effective age versus actual age. 3% a year. So you have to spend $3,000 a year in paint, wood, each and every year to keep a $100,000 building up to snuff. And you might let it go 8 years, but just figure 2% a year is depreciation. And there you go, 16 years, and just take, if you want to do something for 16 years, then you might as well get out $3,000.
Yep, got it, Bob.
So 16, you might as well get out about $40,000 to fix the place up.
Have you already corresponded with these people?
Not yet, I have the letter here, and I
Okay.
wanted, you folks to rule on sending this letter.
Right. I'd like to entertain a motion that Jim start this process for the dangerous building, and there is a whole process that's
Yes,
by law. And if it is not already in your letter, I'd like to have you tell them that you are posting the building with dangerous building signs and keep out signs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And that will be done immediately,
Excellent, yeah.
because we are coming into the season when we're gonna have lots of visitors.
Right.
Yeah, and
We don't want someone getting hurt.
My concern was about the broken glass in the front, and I agree with the posting
And
issue
that we
very
can
much.
board,
Right,
we
and,
can board it up and you can.
right, I mean, 3 sheets of OSB screwed to the front of that will prevent anybody from,
Right.
well, what are we talking, 20 bucks a sheet? Come on, it's for public
That
safety.
changes price every day, maybe 25.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I still think it's
Well-
worthy of keeping the public safe.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, so I'll make that motion that Jim, begin this process with the, posting.
Front and back of the
requirement.
building.
Right,
And John would need to direct Public Works
Yes.
to do the work.
yep.
Right, and get the material, do the work. Okay. I'll get
Keep
the
a running
posting.
tally,
Right.
file,
Yeah.
on
Yep.
this. Create a file of the running tally of what
Yeah.
costs we're incurring.
For those of you that are newer to the board, there is a whole process, and Jim, if you haven't already done, can you give the ordinance to
Yes.
John?
Sure.
So anyone that's interested in reading it. But we do have the right to take care of a public safety hazard,
Mhm.
and the owner will be charged for the OSB.
Right.
Yeah, and even if they don't cure the hazard or abate the hazard by the deadline, then the board needs to immediately, I think, go to the next step, and that is
That's correct.
the legal step and hire a firm to, go through the whole process and then, yep, okay?
All right,
Okay.
we have a motion.
Second motion.
Okay, we have a vote, all in favor? All right, thanks, Jim.
Oh, I have another one.
Okay,
Last year, I going back early spring, I contacted property owners at map 37, lot 9. And for those of you that know, this is the lot where this is the part